South Korea refines oil and supplies it to major oil fields every week. But there are also people who steal oil through pipelines. These thieves are known as drillers. The film begins with a fake driller named Jeb Se drilling one of the oil pipelines. The young man actually works as a welder, but at the same time he took on the task of drilling in order to earn some money. Every time the Korean government reprocesses oil and sends it through pipelines, they use it to steal the oil by illegally drilling holes in the pipelines. Meanwhile, Jeb Se failed to open a hole in the pipeline, and the oil floated out of the pipeline and exploded. Police officers searched the area and found only drilling equipment. Police officer Sang-gu immediately suspects that it's the work of the drillers, but his boss doesn't believe him. These guys are currently running a hose through the water and connecting it to the garbage truck so that the metal doesn't get into the detonator. This will make it easier for them to steal oil. At this time, the man who participated in the explosion found him. She's mad at this guy for sending her a fake driller. The real drill guy's name is Seo In-guk and he is a master at his job. He can perform his work at a professional level and can drill pipes of any thickness with the help of drilling equipment. His name is widely used in South Korea under the name of driller. At the same time, he was disappointed that his garbageman friend sent another driller using his name. At that moment, In-guk noticed a police officer watching him. Police officer Sang-gu suspects that he was involved in the oil pipeline explosion because a 1-inch drilling rig was found at the scene. Sang-gu asks him to show him his leg, because the criminal was found with his pants on fire, so his leg might have been burned. They show him his leg and find no sign of injury. After a while, the police came to the conclusion that they had hidden the oil in the garbage truck, but it ended up embarrassing them. Sang-gun, a police officer bathed in garbage, his boss doesn't even want to hear, so he and his partner decide to track down the criminals. At that moment, driller In-guk arrived at one of the underground oil pipelines with an assignment for his new customers. Harador talks about what she's wearing, which In-guk points out that she's dressed like that to distract the cops. In-guk set the timer for 3 minutes and started drilling. If he doesn't manage to drill in that time, the oil pressure will drop and the police will notice. In-guk finished the job without drilling the last 1 mm of the pipe because it was obvious that the pipe would self-pierce due to the oil pressure. In-guk clearly took this into account when drilling, and it surprised the buyer. In-guk earned $200,000 for his services. The customer is asking him how he drills to 1 mm precision, because no one has ever done it. Then the buyer tells him that he has another job, and suggests that he talk to the customer about this job. The customer is a young man named Jeon-woo, who is very wealthy and a businessman. He inherited a large fortune from his father, and now the company he runs is in crisis due to debts. Jeon-woo secretly steals and sells oil to pay off the company's debts. At the moment, he is talking to In-guk, a driller. Jeon-woo asks the driller to drill 2 holes in the underground pipe. In-guk is surprised and asks where he keeps all that oil. Jeon-woo demonstrates connecting the oil hoses to the old reservoir. With this work, he can earn at least $30 million by owning 1 million tons of oil. The reservoirs are scheduled for demolition after 30 days, so Jeon-woo gives the driller a month and gives him an advance of $500,000. In-guk is assigned a group of professional guys to dig up to the pipe. One of the team members, a young man named Jun Sab, is responsible for digging the tunnel. And Man-sik, having worked in a government agency for 30 years, knows what's underground and where. Among them is welder Jeb Se. At the same time, he is angry that the members of the team received an advance of $100,000 and gave the driller $500,000. In-guk then reminds them that they can find someone else to replace them and that no one knows how to drill but him. Young driller In-guk was appointed captain of the team. A hotel has been booked for them to spend the night after work. They will have to act under certain rules. That is, if they leave the hotel without finishing the work, they will have to pay a fine of 2 times the agreed price. Their work is watched by a female accountant through a surveillance camera and she reports to Jeon-woo every day. They have to stop when the alarm goes off about the suspicious policeman. The accountant gives this signal by pressing a button. That's how they started. In-guk is busy building the drilling rig, while the others are digging a tunnel to the oil pipeline. Suddenly, one of the workers, Jeb Se, gets into a fight with his teammates. When In-guk tries to calm her down, he notices a burn mark on her leg. It turned out that the welder had participated in the previous explosion using the name of In-guk. Ngook informs him that if he makes any noise one more time, he will be kicked out of the team, and then gives him a chance. At that time, Man Sik was forced to take medicine due to illness. This catches Jun Sab's attention and asks him to taste it. Man Sik did not want to share with him, saying that special marijuana is expensive. While digging, they come across a large boulder and it turns out that Mr. Man Sik's guesses were wrong. They have now decided to crush the rock with a drilling rig. To drown out the sound of the drilling rig, Lazy Jeb Say was chosen to sing loudly in karaoke. He uses his voice to reduce the noise of the drilling rig. At that moment, a police officer visited the hotel. The accountant presses a button to signal down, but they continue to work, oblivious to the loudness of the drilling rig. The accountant informs via walkie-talkie that the police are coming down after noticing the noise. After a while, the welder, Jeb Say, sees the police officer and continues to sing. Underground, Ngook approaches the walkie-talkie and hears the voice of the accountant and rushes to warn the guys. Meanwhile, welder Jeb Say is trying to distract the police officer. He even sings new trending songs to get the policeman's attention. The police officer ignores this and goes underground. Jeb Say's efforts are effective. The guys on the floor pretended to be cleaning a pipe, sensing that the police were already inside. The wall was covered with a larger object. Policeman Sang-gu doesn't remember seeing one of the guys anywhere, so he leaves. At this moment, Jun Sab dropped the large object from his hand due to the weight, and he could feel that he was in great pain. After a while, he tries to talk to the accountant who is fixing the camera cables. When the others try to cover up the hole they dug with a large paint object and throw it away, the accountant woman and Jun Sab get trapped in the tunnel. Jeb Say, a welder, assumed that they were dead and offered to take money from here. And Man Sik began to dig, thinking that they might be alive. An accountant trapped on the other side of the embankment is trying to get out. And Jun Sab can't stop crying, insisting that everything is useless. At that moment, Man Sik's voice was heard and they saved him. In the evening, they talk about the time of eating. The same food touched their soul. They had to eat this food because they couldn't go out. While they are talking, the accountant treats them to a bowl of delicious soup. At night, everyone lies in bed dreaming of what they will do with the money they received as an advance. Suddenly, an alarm goes off and Jeb Say catches the welder as he flees with the money. As Jeb beats Say, the others come out and stop him. When Barzanji Jun Sab sees a bag of money, he rides a horse of hatred and throws welder Jeb Say and beats him up. Jeb Say apologizes saying that he actually stole the money to treat his 7-year-old son. Jian Wu is there as the beeping sound reaches the customer. He warns Ngook to give him one last chance, and if anyone else tries to escape, he will pay double the compensation. Meanwhile, Jian Wu's men are torturing Jeb Say with water as he tries to escape. In order to stay alive, Jeb Say had to report what was happening in the tunnel through this device. The next day, they start digging the tunnel again, with Ngook hurrying them along. Suddenly, the policeman, while inspecting the place with the help of a metal director, noticed something. The accountant noticed the arrival of the police and alerted the people in the tunnel. The boys left the tunnel with all their iron tools, but Ngook's iron watch was left behind. He goes back in the tunnel to retrieve his watch and falls unconscious due to a burst gas pipe. Man Sik puts a mask on his face and leads him out of the tunnel. At the top, the police officers dug the ground with the help of a crane and stopped the work when they saw that there was a gas pipe there. A little later, driller Ngook is dressing his wound and drinking medicine. At that moment, Man Sik asks for permission to visit his wife in the hospital. When Ngook says it's impossible, he tries to sneak out with her through the tube after a while. Jeb Say sees them. Now he also wants to go to the hospital because the burn on his leg is still painful. So the three of them went through the pipeline and reached the hospital. Man Sik couldn't stop crying when he saw that his wife was already dead there. When they turned back, they were met by Jian Wu's men. They noticed that the accountant had tampered with the cameras. Jian Wu is rude to them. Ngook can't stand it and wants to leave, saying that he will cancel the contract. Jian Wu threatened her by showing her a picture of his bear. Ngook was forced to finish the job as agreed in the contract. And the accountant girl was forced to work with them. The next day we see them being used like slaves. They didn't like the way they were being beaten, so they grabbed Jian Wu's men and beat them up. When they came out of the tunnel, they were met by a group of soldiers. Ngook tries to get out of there using a gas cylinder. Suddenly, Jian-woo appeared in front of them with a pistol. In-gook insists that if he shoots, the gas cylinder will explode and everyone will die. Jian-woo shoots Man-sik when he suddenly tries to get the gun. Hearing the gunshots, a nearby police officer rushed inside. Inside, Jian-woo is shooting people who don't want to work with his pistol. Suddenly the alarm goes off and they leave the scene. The survivors are trying to escape through the pipeline. Police officers saw a dead body inside and called for reinforcements. After a while, the others arrive at In-gook's friend's dump. In-gook is relieved to hear from his scavenger friend that his mother is safe. At that moment, Jian-woo calls her and demands that she return to work. In-gook gets angry with him and makes a plan with his teammates to make him behave. In the evening, the accountant calls Jian-woo to the roof of the building. In-gook offers Jian-woo a deal there. They promise to fill the reservoir with oil in 2 days, but they ask for $5 million in return. Jian-woo agreed. Because his campaign is in debt, if he can't deliver the oil to the buyers on time, he will be devastated. In-gook is working with his team according to the plan. They want to fill the reservoir with oil through the old sewage pipeline. If In-gook doesn't make it this time in 5 minutes, the police officers will find them immediately, noticing that the oil pressure has dropped. In-gook struggles to drill due to his injury, but he manages to make a hole in the pipe in time with all his might. In-gook has to drill another hole from the oil pipeline, but he can't because of his injury. He outsourced the drilling to Jeb-se and is supervising the work himself. At this time, Jian-woo gathered the oil buyers near the reservoir and started trading. Jeb-se had successfully drilled at this point and they connected the hoses to the pipe to direct the oil to the reservoir. Jian-woo watches as everything goes smoothly. Suddenly, In-gook hung up the oil faucet and demanded money based on the agreement and sent him the address. When Jian-woo arrived at the destination, he inspected the equipment before handing over the money. Convinced that the equipment is working, Jian-woo refuses to hand over the money and captures the driller and his teammates. Jian-woo brings them all to the equipment and reveals his noble purpose. His goal is not to sell the 1,000,000 tons of oil in the reservoir, but to explode it. With this, he planned to get out of the water dry by causing a huge loss to the state. However, he says that he has done this before. As a result, thousands of innocent people died. At the end of his speech, he planted an explosive device and left. At this time, In-gook managed to untie the rope in his hand with the help of a gas balloon. He takes the detonator and tries to get away from the oil pipeline. At that moment, Jian-woo set off the detonator. In-gook manages to carry the detonator further away and survives. The device exploded and water came out of the reservoir. Actually, there was supposed to be oil in the reservoir, but In-gook planned it and sent water through the hose instead of oil. The terrible explosion that Jian-woo expected did not happen. He comes angrily and shoots them with a pistol. After a while, a group of Jian-woo's men came and the fight escalated. Everyone took part in the fight and poured out their anger on each other. At the end of the fight, the driller tries to kill Jian-woo, but the policeman stops him. The police officers took over the place of the incident and took them away in handcuffs. At the end of the film, 3 years later, they were released and are working as a team again. Thank you so much for having us on your channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.